Before we drift off tonight, take a quick moment to subscribe and tap the bell so you'll always have a safe place to fall asleep. Hey guys, welcome to Sleepy Science. Tonight we're unraveling the strange tale of how screen time in bed quietly steals your sleep, the hidden cost of scrolling under the covers. Imagine, for a moment, a tiny glowing rectangle in your hand, no heavier than a stone, yet brighter than a sunrise. It hums softly, whispering stories, updates, little flashes of the world's heartbeat. Don't worry, you'll survive this journey tonight, though the late-night texts and endless feeds might not. So, dim the lights, maybe let a fan hum softly in the background, and let's slip together into tonight's story. You rest your head on the pillow, body sinking slowly, the air thickening with that velvet quiet that only night can carry. Somewhere in the distance, perhaps outside your own window, a street lamp buzzes faintly, its glow pooling like honey on the asphalt. Inside, though, the glow comes from closer, from the device by your side, its light piercing through the soft cocoon of night like a lighthouse beam. Your eyes follow it, half curious, half weary, as though the glowing square holds a secret you haven't yet been told. And here is the paradox. Dusk arrives faithfully each evening, softening the horizon, whispering to your body that it's time to let go. For thousands of years this rhythm, light fades, rest begins, was unquestioned. But now, the doorway of dusk feels jammed open by screens, as though morning itself has crept backward into midnight. You, lying there, sense both comfort and unease. Comfort in the glow, unease in your body's refusal to soften. A curious fact drifts into mind. Before the invention of electric light in the late 19th century, humans spent their nights in two phases of sleep, often called first sleep and second sleep. They would drift into slumber soon after darkness, wake for a gentle hour around midnight, sometimes to write, to pray, to whisper with loved ones, and then fall back into a second wave of sleep until dawn. This rhythm was guided only by firelight and stars. The body listened, obeyed. Today, that pattern is nearly forgotten, drowned out by the constant light and stimulation of devices. And so here you are, at the threshold of rest, feeling your body want one thing while your fingers crave another. The doorway of dusk used to be a quiet meadow. Now it feels like a crowded airport gate, screens flickering with departures and arrivals you'll never take. Isn't it strange that you can lie perfectly still, yet travel across hundreds of stories, updates, reels, in just minutes, like stepping onto an endless escalator that never quite delivers you anywhere? Your senses notice small details, the warmth of your sheets against skin, the faint static hum of your fan blending with the occasional buzz of a phone notification. These tiny sensory cues tug you two ways toward rest and toward alertness. The room feels dim, yet not quite dark. You could close your eyes, but the glow insists, just one more scroll. Philosophers of the past might have smiled at this. Imagine Aristotle, pondering by lamplight, insisting that nighttime was a gift from the gods to balance the fire of the day, or Marcus Aurelius, reminding himself in his journal that rest was not indulgence but necessity. And yet, here in your bed, the philosophers are interrupted by a meme, a news alert, a late-night text. Would Marcus have resisted the next episode button? You chuckle softly at the thought, then sigh, because you know maybe not. Here lies the gentle humor of it. In a world of technological marvels, the greatest battle of bedtime is not between predators and prey, not between fire and cold, but between your thumb and the tiny rectangle of light, a thumb war with your own circadian rhythm, and often the phone wins. The science behind this doorway of dusk is both fascinating and a little unnerving. When light enters your eyes, even small amounts, it signals your brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, a tiny cluster of about 20,000 neurons in the hypothalamus. This cluster acts like the conductor of your circadian orchestra, telling every cell in your body whether it's time for action or time for repair. Blue wavelengths, the kind most abundant in phone and tablet screens, are especially potent. To your inner clock, blue light doesn't whisper bedtime, it shouts morning. And so, as you lie here, that gentle conductor is confused. It raises the tempo when it should slow the music. Melatonin, the hormone that usually flows as twilight deepens, is delayed, suppressed, scattered like clouds in a windstorm. You feel it as restlessness, as the strange sense that you could stay awake just a little longer. You don't yawn, instead you scroll. You don't sink, instead you hover, caught between the urge to rest and the illusion of wakeful energy. But here is where philosophy returns, softer this time, like a whisper. If light can trick your body into mistaking midnight for dawn, how many other illusions guide your nights? Are you scrolling for knowledge, for connection, or perhaps for a soft substitute of dreams themselves? After all, dreams are endless stories unspooling in the dark. Is scrolling merely the daytime brain's imitation of dreaming, an artificial dream machine that never quite satisfies? As you wonder, the fan hums on, steady as a mantra, carrying your thoughts gently towards stillness. The doorway of dusk waits, even now, patient, unbothered by your delay. Dusk knows you cannot resist forever. Eventually, your body will demand what it always has, the surrender into night. But for now, you linger at the threshold, phone in hand, mind half tethered to the world and half drifting elsewhere. There is a gentle comedy here too, if you choose to notice it. Imagine some distant alien species watching you through a telescope. A human wrapped in blankets, eyes lit up like tiny moons scrolling past strangers' dinners, cats, news of lands they'll never see. The alien might tilt its head and wonder, do these creatures dream only when awake? You smile softly at the thought, and maybe, just maybe, you feel your eyes grow a little heavier. And so, here you rest, in the doorway of dusk, body longing for silence, mind distracted by glow. The night has only just begun, and its story stretches far. Soon you will meet the hidden lantern of blue light, the thieves of melatonin, the phantom vibrations of attention. But for now, let dusk do its work, softening, slowing, cradling you closer to rest. The doorway remains open, waiting for you to step through. You lie in your bed, shadows deepening around you, and notice how the glow from your screen feels strangely alive. It doesn't flicker like candlelight, or soften like the fading horizon. It blazes steadily, like a lantern hidden in your palm. But this lantern is peculiar. Unlike fire, it gives no warmth. Unlike moonlight, it does not soothe. Instead, it sharpens, alerts, prods your mind as though morning has arrived again, long before it should. Science has a curious phrase for this blue-enriched light. The very wavelengths that pour out of your phone are nearly identical to those painted across the sky at dawn. When you scroll at midnight, you are in effect holding a pocket-sized sunrise against your face. Your eyes, sensitive as they are, cannot tell the difference. They send a message to the brain, wake up, it's daybreak. And your body, ever obedient, begins to shift into morning mode, even though the clock whispers otherwise. You can almost hear the orchestra inside your skull adjusting its tempo, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, that tiny cluster of neurons ticking like a conductor's metronome, hears the call of this hidden lantern and raises its baton. Muscles tense faintly. Cortisol, the alertness hormone, edges upward. Heart rate doesn't quite slow. The body prepares for action, for tasks, for challenges. Yet all you've done is lie back, flicking your thumb over glowing glass. It's strange, isn't it? A glow no larger than your palm has the power to trick a system that evolved over millions of years. Picture the first humans staring up at the dawn, their biology learning, memorizing blue light means morning. That lesson has never been forgotten. And so, here in the 21st century, the lantern in your bed wields the same power as the rising sun itself. But this lantern does more than keep you awake. It carries consequences that seep far beyond tonight, Studies show that even brief exposure to screen light before bed can delay melatonin production by nearly an hour. Imagine telling your body every night, not yet, not yet, and then wondering why morning feels like wading through mud. You laugh softly at the irony. You've been postponing your own rest, bargaining with tomorrow's energy, all for the promise of just 5 more minutes. Of course, there is humor here too. You picture an old sailor, lantern in hand, guiding a ship through fog. The lantern's light reveals danger, steadies the course. And then you picture yourself, shipwrecked in blankets, lantern glow pressed close to your nose, guiding you not to safety, but to videos of dogs wearing sunglasses. You chuckle. The brain's ancient responses wasted on such peculiar modern images. Yet behind the laughter, a philosophical question lingers. If a false dawn can rise in your bedroom, what other illusions shape your nights? Perhaps you've mistaken scrolling for intimacy, as though the flickering presence of faces on a screen equals companionship. Perhaps you've mistaken updates for importance, as though the world cannot turn without your late-night witness. And perhaps, most curiously, you've mistaken stimulation for rest. After all, your body feels occupied, your mind distracted, but the deeper currents of sleep remain untouched. The metaphor of the lantern grows richer the more you linger. For centuries, people used lanterns to move through the dark, tools of safety, discovery, reassurance. But here, your lantern betrays you. It doesn't guide you through night. It dissolves the night entirely. Darkness itself is erased, and with it, the body's natural permission to rest. Think of the pineal gland, that tiny pea-shaped organ buried deep in your brain. René Descartes once called it the seat of the soul. Whether or not that's true, its role in regulating melatonin is undeniable. In total darkness, it glows inwardly, releasing the chemical that tells your cells to slow, repair, dream. But when blue light shines through your eyelids, it is as though someone has placed a blindfold over the gland, whispering, "Not yet, not yet." And so the soul, or at least the body, waits restlessly at the edge of sleep, denied entrance. You can feel this denial in subtle ways. A faint tightness in the forehead, a flicker of racing thoughts, a restlessness in the legs. Sleep is not absent, but delayed, like a train running endlessly late. And the cruel part is that you don't even notice until morning, when grogginess clings like cobwebs. Some debates remain unsettled in science. Researchers argue over whether blue light filters, those amber-tinted settings you can switch on your phone, are truly effective. Some studies show they help. Others suggest the stimulation of content itself, the words, the moving images, the social engagement, is as disruptive as the light. After all, a lantern may trick the eye, but the stories it illuminates also stir the mind. Perhaps the truest question isn't about photons at all, but about attention. What are you feeding your brain before bed? Quiet emptiness, or endless chatter? And here you smile again because it's almost funny. Humans once feared darkness, invented lanterns to chase it away, and now must invent tools to bring darkness back again. Blackout curtains, sleep masks, blue light filters, as though you are forever building barriers to undo what your own inventions created. A comical loop, chasing shadows you once banished. The sensory world around you reflects this irony. The room is dim, yet the glow near your face is piercing, sharp enough to outline your cheekbones in the mirror. Your ears catch the faint pings, the rustle of sheets, the occasional car passing outside. Each sense is caught between two worlds, the natural night and the synthetic day. You hover at their border, not fully belonging to either. And still the lantern glows. Soft, steady, insistent. It does not rage or demand. It simply shines, patient as the rising sun, even though the hour belongs to darkness. You feel the pull, the quiet demand to linger, to let your eyes drink a little more, but you also sense the invitation beneath, the reminder that lanterns can be extinguished, that true night still waits just a click away. The doorway of dusk you lingered in earlier has not closed. It waits still, velvet curtains drawn, ready to cradle you once the lantern is lowered. The question remains, will you put it aside now, or let the lantern guide you deeper into false daylight? That mystery, perhaps, belongs to tomorrow. For tonight, simply notice. The lantern glows not with fire, but with borrowed sunrise. It tricks the ancient rhythms, steals the night's chemistry, and asks you to trade rest for attention. Whether you follow it or not, the knowledge is yours. The lantern is not a friend to sleep, only a cunning mimic of dawn. The night grows deeper, and yet you feel a peculiar alertness humming inside, as though your body has misplaced its bedtime instructions. This is the handiwork of a subtle thief, an invisible pickpocket who sneaks into your bloodstream and steals away the chemical lullabies you were meant to receive. His name is melatonin, or rather the lack of him. And he is the reason you toss, you scroll, you lie in bed waiting for drowsiness that never quite arrives. Imagine melatonin as the Sandman's currency. Each evening, as darkness spreads, your pineal gland begins to mint tiny doses, releasing them into your bloodstream like coins into a fountain. The more darkness deepens, the more coins scatter, shimmering, telling every cell in your body, slow now, rest now, dream soon. Without these tokens, the gates of sleep remain stubbornly closed, no matter how heavy your eyelids feel. But the screen glow, the hidden lantern from before, acts like a rival thief. Its blue wavelengths slip past your retinas, send signals upstream to the brain and whisper, "Hold the coins, do not release them." The pineal obeys, withholding its treasure, and so the thief does not steal by taking. He steals by preventing the gift from ever leaving the vault. Science has mapped this theft in startling clarity. Experiments show that people exposed to screens for just 2 hours before bed may experience melatonin suppression of 22% or more. Imagine a library where nearly a quarter of its books vanish each night. The stories left behind are incomplete, the knowledge fractured. This is your body on delayed melatonin, a library of dreams half empty before the first page is turned. You notice the effects in curious ways. Your mind insists you're not sleepy, though your body aches for rest. You lie there checking the time, surprised that midnight has arrived, then 1, then 2, and when sleep finally comes, it is shallow, fragmented, lacking the deep richness that carries you into repair. The thief leaves not only tonight poorer, but tomorrow as well. A quirky tidbit drifts into thought. Melatonin is not unique to humans. Plants produce it too, shielding themselves from oxidative stress, regulating their cycles of growth and rest. In fact, rice, cherries, even bananas carry trace amounts. To eat a cherry is, in a way, to taste the same sleepy signal your own brain longs for. The universe itself seems to hum with melatonin's rhythm, a biological moonlight scattered across species. And yet, here in your room, the glow of your screen silences that ancient harmony. Philosophy, soft as a whisper, arrives to ask if melatonin is nature's reminder of darkness. What does it mean when darkness is no longer allowed? Have we traded night itself for an endless synthetic day? Perhaps that is the greatest theft, not only of hormones but of the mystery and poetry of night. Once, darkness was a canvas for stars, for stories, for dreams. Now it is a background to the brighter glow of devices. The thief takes not only melatonin, but the sanctity of night itself. You sense this in your surroundings. The room is dim, yet faintly restless. Shadows should comfort, but the glow unsettles them, turning corners sharp, keeping your vision alert. The sheets feel warm, yes, but they cradle not a sleeper, but a thinker, scrolling still. The soft hum of your fan becomes less lullaby, more background noise, as though the thief has stolen your ability to hear it as soothing. And yet there is a touch of humor in this crime. Imagine melatonin as a character, a tiny drowsy librarian with spectacles slipping down his nose, carrying stacks of bedtime books. Just as he is about to deliver them to you, a screen pops up. Breaking news, new video, urgent alert. He stumbles, drops the books and sighs. Well, I suppose you'll have to wait. The thief is bumbling, almost polite, but persistent. You chuckle at the thought of your hormones scurrying like overworked librarians, forever interrupted by your phone. Unresolved questions swirl too. While science agrees that screens suppress melatonin, researchers still debate how much this suppression truly impacts long-term health. Is it merely a nightly inconvenience, or does it ripple deeper, altering immune function, aging, even mood disorders? Some argue the thief is mischievous, but not dangerous. Others warn he may be rewriting the body's very script. The full verdict remains unfinished, like a courtroom drama paused before the final ruling. And you, lying here listening to the hum of your own room, are both the victim and the jury. You feel the theft in your own restless nights. You live the consequences in groggy mornings. And yet, each evening, you still invite the thief back, glowing screen in hand, as though charmed by the very criminal who steals from you. A metaphor forms, gentle and dreamlike, melatonin as moonlight bottled inside your veins. Each night, darkness uncorks the bottle, letting the silver liquid spill, soothing, shimmering. But screens screw the lid tight, trapping the moonlight, leaving you parched. You lie in bed thirsty for dreams, sipping only drops when you could have swallowed rivers. The thief laughs softly in the background, invisible, patient, knowing you'll reach for the glow again tomorrow. And still, hope lingers. Just as darkness can be stolen, it can also be reclaimed. A single act, switching off, setting the lantern aside, allows the pineal to resume its gift. Within minutes, the coins begin to scatter again. The bottles uncork. The librarian straightens his spectacles and continues his delivery. Night, patient as ever, forgives easily. For now you rest with the awareness. The thief is real, but so is your power to guard against him. Each evening offers a choice, the glow of screens or the glow of sleep itself. One steals, the other restores. Perhaps tomorrow you'll tip the balance differently. For tonight you float at the edge, feeling the tug of both, the thief's hand at your pocket, and the distant silvery promise of dreams waiting to be returned. Your thumb moves almost by instinct, as though it belongs to someone else. Upward, flick, upward again, a gentle motion that repeats itself like a heartbeat. And with each flick, new images spill forth, faces, words, shimmering videos, stacked one after another as if the well of content could never run dry. This is the scroll that never ends, a digital river without a mouth, flowing endlessly into your eyes. You pause for a moment and notice the strange hypnotic rhythm of it. A single scroll, a single gift of novelty. Another scroll, another surprise. Scientists call this the variable reward schedule, the same principle that keeps gamblers tugging at slot machine levers. Sometimes the prize is big, a hilarious clip, a moving message, a fact you didn't know you needed. Sometimes it's small or empty, forgettable in seconds. But because you never know what comes next, your brain leans forward, eager for just one more. It feels dreamlike, doesn't it? Like wandering through a labyrinth where every door opens to another hallway, and another, and another. No exit, no final room, just an infinite unfolding. Dreams behave this way too, unrolling stories that dissolve and reform endlessly. But dreams at least serve a purpose. They consolidate memories, regulate emotion, allow the subconscious to speak. The endless scroll, in contrast, is like a dream machine with no architecture, spinning empty rooms forever. There's humor tucked in this endlessness. Imagine explaining scrolling to someone from the 18th century. Yes, we lie in bed at night, staring at a glowing rectangle, and with a flick of the finger, we are fed an infinite parade of strangers dancing, cats sneezing, news of empires rising and falling. The person might laugh politely, assuming you've had too much wine, or perhaps they'd pity you, marveling that in a world of stars and silence, you would choose instead the endless parade of novelty. And yet, you can't help but admit, it is compelling. Your senses delight at the little rush each scroll delivers, eyes brighten at the shimmer of motion, ears prick at the tiny music clips. Even your fingertips feel oddly satisfied by the gentle resistance of glass under skin. Every sense is recruited into the spell, leaving you drifting half dreaming, half waking. But here comes the science. Infinite scroll was no accident. Designers engineered it to bypass natural stopping cues. When you read a book, the chapter ends. When you watch a film, the credits roll. But the feed is bottomless. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect, our tendency to remain hooked on incomplete tasks. A cliffhanger you can't resolve keeps tugging at your mind. The scroll is a permanent cliffhanger. It whispers, "Don't stop yet. The next thing might be better." And so, you lie in bed, chasing an end that never arrives. The night slips away unnoticed, minutes swelling into hours, and when you finally stop, you feel unsatisfied, as though you've been eating fog, full of movement, empty of substance. The scroll has tricked you, not only stealing time but reshaping your perception of it. A philosophical question drifts in. If a river never ends, is it still a river, or does it become an illusion, a loop, a mirage? The scroll seems endless, yet each fragment is finite, each post forgotten as soon as the next appears. You are not truly wandering infinity, but repeating the same brief pattern endlessly. It is less a journey and more a treadmill. Does that realization change the way you feel, or do you smile softly? Amused at the treadmill, your mind still chooses to run. Think of it another way. Ancient storytellers once sat by fires weaving tales with beginnings, middles, and ends. Their voices guided listeners through structure, resolution, meaning. Today's scroll is a shattered fire, thousands of sparks, none forming a flame. You receive the shimmer but not the warmth. And perhaps that is why, when you finally close your eyes, your dreams feel interrupted, scattered, unable to weave strong narratives. The mind, fed on fragments, struggles to compose wholes. Yet, humor persists. Picture yourself as an archaeologist centuries from now, excavating an ancient phone. You discover the endless scroll preserved on its screen and wonder, did these humans ever sleep, or did they live forever inside their glowing boxes? You might chuckle in the ruins, imagining a species mesmerized by infinity in miniature. The sensory details of this endlessness become sharper, the more you notice. The faint sound of your thumb swiping glass, the subtle vibration of each refresh, the quick flash of brightness as new content loads. All of it adds up to stimulation, a symphony of tiny cues keeping your brain alert, reminding it not to drift, not to let go. Your body yearns for stillness, but your senses are tugged forward, one scroll at a time. Unresolved debates swirl among scientists here too. Some argue that scrolling is harmful chiefly because of lost sleep, delayed rest, fractured rhythms. Others suggest the deeper cost lies in attention itself. The way endless feeds reshape your brain to crave fragments over focus, novelty over depth. Is the scroll merely a thief of hours, or a sculptor of thought? Perhaps both. The jury again is still out. A metaphor surfaces. The scroll as a magician's scarf, pulled from a sleeve longer than seems possible, spilling endlessly without ever completing its trick. You know the scarf must end, and yet the magician smiles, tugging it out forever. You watch, half delighted, half weary, waiting for closure that never comes. And beneath it all, the soft reminder, sleep waits patiently. The doorway of dusk, the lantern of blue light, the stolen melatonin, all still weave together, tugging at you gently. The scroll may pretend to be infinite, but night itself is finite. Hours slip away, and dawn waits just beyond the horizon. The scroll can outlast your patience, but it cannot outlast the sunrise. You rest here, aware now of the trick, the endless hallway with no final room. Perhaps tomorrow, when your thumb hovers, you'll smile at the magician's scarf and put it down sooner. But for tonight, you simply notice the spell for what it is: strange, endless, softly consuming, and you allow the realization itself to loosen you, drifting closer to the real infinity waiting in dreams. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the world before the hum of electricity, before glowing screens and bedside chargers. Night fell not with the buzz of notifications, but with the slow dimming of the sky, the stars appearing like pinholes in a great velvet curtain. In that ancient world, the only glow came from fire, embers crackling softly, smoke curling upward, shadows dancing against stone walls or tree trunks. The firelight was alive, yet it never argued with the night. It did not mimic the sun. It honored darkness, flickering gently as if whispering, "I will keep you company, but I will not steal the stars." You can almost hear it now, the hiss of sap in the logs, the occasional pop as sparks fly upward. The sound is steady, irregular yet soothing, like a lullaby composed of crackles, and the sight of it, orange and gold, warm and soft, unlike the piercing glare of modern blue light. Fire invited your eyes to soften, not sharpen. It did not demand attention, it lulled it. Scientists believe our brains carry this memory still. The color spectrum of fire, rich in red and amber wavelengths, does not suppress melatonin the way blue light does. In fact, some studies suggest firelight may even promote relaxation, lowering blood pressure and easing heart rate. Imagine that, a technology so ancient it feels more like nature than invention. Sitting by fire was not a disruption of night, but a deepening of it. Our ancestors gathered there, not scrolling but storytelling. Around the flames, myths were born, wisdom shared, laughter traded. Anthropologists argue that fire extended the human day, but in harmony with biology rather than against it. People did not stay awake for endless hours chasing novelty. They lingered long enough to connect, then drifted easily into sleep, cradled by the night they never truly left. There's a quiet humor here when you compare it to now. Imagine a time traveler from the Paleolithic age watching us today, each person alone, bathed not in communal firelight, but in the solitary glow of a phone. They might scratch their heads wondering why we choose to stare at light that sharpens rather than soothes, that isolates rather than gathers. Firelight was social, screen light is solitary. Fire pulled people together, phones scatter them into separate worlds. And yet, something in you longs for that fire still. You feel it when you light a candle, or when you sit by a fireplace, or even when you watch the looping videos of digital fireplaces people stream to feel calmer. Your body knows instinctively that amber flicker belongs to night. It resonates like a familiar song humming in your nervous system. This is safe, this is rest, this is the rhythm of dusk. Philosophy tiptoes in here too. Firelight was never endless. It needed tending, a log placed carefully, a spark coaxed, embers fed. In its limitation, it taught respect. Screens, by contrast, never wane. They do not ask you to tend them. They demand you to surrender. Perhaps there is wisdom in limitation itself. Perhaps boundaries, like fire's gradual fading, teach us when to let go. Without them, we drift into excess, forgetting the value of endings. And isn't it curious how fire's glow was never still? It wavered, shimmered, danced in patterns no two the same. Some researchers suggest this unpredictability explains why humans find fire so hypnotic. It captures attention in a soft, non-demanding way, soothing without overstimulating. Compare that to the algorithmic scroll, also unpredictable, but in sharp jolts rather than gentle waves. Fire whispers unpredictability, screens shout it. One rocks you toward rest, the other jolts you awake. The sensory contrasts deepen this image. Picture the warmth of flames licking your skin, a heat that seeps inward and loosens muscle tension. Hear the low murmur of voices blending with the crackle. Contrast that with the cold glow of a phone, the faint electronic hum, the sterile feel of glass under fingertips. Which feels more like night? which feels more like intrusion. There's a tender irony here in chasing endless light. We have forgotten how to sit with shadows. The fire's shadows stretched long, painted walls with creatures and gods, invited imagination. The phone's glow erases shadows, flattening the world into pixels, closing the door on mystery. What dreams are lost when shadows are erased? What stories go untold when imagination is outsourced to endless feeds? Unresolved debates touch this memory too. Some scholars suggest that fire itself extended human sleep into more fragmented patterns. Two sleeps, with a wakeful period in between, as fire demanded tending. Others argue fire unified the tribe's rhythms, aligning their rest and watchfulness. The truth, perhaps, lies somewhere between, but all agree firelight was not an enemy of sleep. It was woven into its very fabric. You feel the pull of this thought as you lie here, glowing phone nearby. Perhaps that's why camping feels so restorative, why one weekend away from screens under stars beside fire can reset the body's clock so deeply. You are not broken, only displaced. The ancient firelight is still inside you, waiting to be remembered. A metaphor forms gently. Firelight as the heartbeat of night, steady and alive, while screens are like racing pulses, fast, sharp, insistent. Which heart do you want to listen to before sleep? One leads you into soft dreams, the other keeps you half awake, caught between worlds. And so, you rest tonight with a small awareness the ancient firelight never left. It lives in candles, in sunsets, in the amber glow of lamps. You can choose to call it back, to honor it in your own rituals of dusk. You need not surrender wholly to the sterile glow. There is another way, one as old as humanity itself. The scroll may never end, the lantern may steal, the thief may pick your melatonin pockets, but firelight waits patiently, a reminder that night was once sacred and can be again. All you must do is soften, dim, and let the fire within you flicker gently back to life. You lie in bed, and though your eyes grow heavy, something inside you resists. It is not your will, not your spirit, but your biology, soft and invisible, yet powerful. Imagine a tide of hormones flowing through your bloodstream, orchestrating when you feel drowsy and when you feel alert. At night, the sea should be calm, gentle waves of melatonin rocking you into rest. But in the glow of your screen, another current rises. Cortisol, the stress hormone, begins its midnight march. You may know cortisol as the chemical of survival, the inner alarm bell that wakes you when danger approaches. Once upon a time, it was a gift. It quickened your reflexes when a predator rustled in the grass, sharpened your senses when fire crackled too high, urged you to flee or fight. But now, that same hormone responds to the light of your phone as if it were sunrise, a false dawn at midnight, tricking your body into vigilance when it longs for surrender. You can picture it like soldiers roused in the middle of the night, armor clattering, eyes wide, scanning the horizon. Cortisol floods your bloodstream, nudging your heart to beat a little faster, your mind to stay a little sharper. The irony is almost comic. You are lying safely in bed, scrolling cat videos, yet your body thinks it's time to prepare for battle. Biology does not differentiate between a lion's shadow and a glowing screen. It simply responds to light. Scientists have traced this pattern again and again. Exposure to blue-enriched light after dusk doesn't only delay melatonin, it elevates cortisol. In one study, participants using tablets before bed showed cortisol levels more like morning than night. The body was convinced the day had begun, though the clock insisted otherwise, and so sleep was delayed, shallow, restless. It's almost poetic, in a mischievous way. Cortisol is meant to rise with the sun, greeting the dawn like a conductor, lifting a baton, setting the rhythm of alertness for the day. But when the baton is lifted at midnight, the orchestra becomes confused. Instruments play out of time, rhythms clash, harmony dissolves, and you, the audience, lie awake, wondering why peace refuses to arrive. There's humor hidden in this too. Imagine your poor pineal gland, the tiny gland in your brain that produces melatonin, trying to whisper, "All is well, it is night, let's sleep." But cortisol barges in like an overzealous manager. "Wake up. Important emails, possible threats, endless memes to consume." It's like a comedy duo, one whispering lullabies, the other shouting schedules. Who do you think wins in a bedroom bathed in artificial daylight? Philosophers might call this a metaphor for modern living, the quiet wisdom of rest drowned out by the constant call of urgency. We chase productivity into the night, convincing ourselves that being alert longer means living more fully. But what if in reality, it's the opposite? What if in clinging to cortisol's vigilance, we lose the dream-fed depths of creativity, memory, and healing? Here's a curious tidbit. Ancient cultures often revered the night, not just as rest, but as wisdom. Dreams were seen as messages, as journeys, as a sacred form of knowledge. Imagine how bewildered those ancestors would be to learn that modern humans elevate cortisol at midnight, not to receive visions, but to watch short looping videos of people dancing. Even the gods of irony would smile at that. The metaphor deepens. Cortisol is a night watchman who refuses to clock out. Once his service was noble, guarding villages, protecting sleeping tribes. But now he stands in the glow of your phone, keeping you awake not from danger, but from curiosity, from boredom, from algorithms designed to never let you rest. A faithful guard with nothing to protect, endlessly pacing the corridors of your veins. And yet, debates remain. Some researchers argue that not all nighttime light exposure is equal, that warmer hues, dimmer settings, and mindful use may not rouse cortisol so fiercely. Others counter that even small doses of blue light can be disruptive, that the system is simply too sensitive, too ancient to withstand manipulation. The truth is likely layered, nuanced, complex, but one truth is certain: the less your cortisol rises at midnight, the more peacefully your body can surrender to night's embrace. Imagine it now, this march of hormones as a parade. In the morning, cortisol leads proudly. Trumpets blaring, drums steady, melatonin retreats like a curtain drawn back to reveal the stage of waking life. But at midnight, the parade should be reversed. Melatonin rising, flowing like a velvet river, while cortisol bows stepping aside. Screens, however, flip the order. The wrong parade marches at the wrong time, confusing the city of your body. No wonder sleep feels like a distant land, unreachable. The sensory layers return, the faint tension in your muscles when cortisol lingers too long, the restlessness in your thoughts, the racing of your heart. Contrast it with what you long for, the slow unclenching of your jaw, the softening of your breath, the heavy warmth of blankets against your skin. Two bodies, side by side in one, the stressed one and the dreaming one, waiting for you to choose. But here is a gentle humor again. Cortisol is not your enemy. It only misreads the signals you feed it. Like a loyal dog barking at every shadow, it believes it is protecting you. The phone is the intruder, whispering false dawns into its ears. If you dim the lights, set the device aside, cortisol will retreat, like a watchman reassured, finally letting you pass into peace. You might wonder what dreams are stolen by this midnight march. Scientists suggest that elevated cortisol can fragment REM sleep, that deep dreaming may be cut short or delayed, and so stories your brain wished to tell itself, repairs it wished to make, memories it wished to weave, may remain unfinished. The narrative of your life is written partly in dreams. Each scroll at midnight risks tearing a page from that hidden book. And so, lying here, you sense it. The scroll is not just stealing minutes of rest, but weaving stress where calm should be. Cortisol's march is steady, but it need not continue. You can call it back, with darkness, with ritual, with softness. It is, after all, your biology, not your destiny. Like a river redirected, your inner tides can return to their natural course. The soldiers can lay down their arms, the watchman can rest his eyes, the orchestra can wait until morning to play, and you You can slip softly into the place where melatonin sings again, and cortisol bows out gracefully, as it was always meant to do. Inside you, two ancient dancers never stop their duet. One wears robes of twilight, soft and shimmering, guiding you into dreams. The other shines like sunrise, sharp and commanding, pulling you back to wakefulness. Their names are familiar, melatonin and cortisol, and though they never meet directly, they pull on the same stage, tugging the curtains of night and day back and forth. Imagine them, not as enemies but as partners in a delicate tug of war, an endless rope stretched across time. When melatonin tugs, the world slows, your eyelids grow heavy, and your breath deepens into rhythm. When cortisol pulls, your heart quickens, your thoughts sharpen, and your body prepares to act. Together they choreograph your circadian dance. But when the rope is yanked at the wrong moment by the glow of a screen, the dance stumbles. Scientists map this duet with charts and graphs, showing how melatonin rises as daylight fades, while cortisol bows lower and lower, preparing to hand over the night. Near dawn, the cycle reverses, melatonin retreats, cortisol ascends, and your body prepares for morning. It's an elegant exchange, like tides rolling in and out. Yet a simple beam of artificial light can scramble the rhythm, calling the wrong partner to the floor at the wrong time. You might feel this disruption as restlessness, lying in bed, eyes wide, even when tired, or as fragmented dreams, slipping into sleep only to wake again. Some people even notice grogginess in the morning, as if the hormonal tug never settled, the rope left quivering through the night. The humor here is subtle. Picture melatonin as a sleepy poet, whispering verses in candlelight, while cortisol is an overcaffeinated coach, clapping hands and shouting, "Up, up, up!" Put them both in the same room and you have chaos. Yet that's what happens each time your screen glows past midnight. The poet and the coach shouting over one another, neither voice truly heard. A quirky tidbit comes from sleep labs, where volunteers are kept in timeless environments, with no clocks, no windows, and no screens. Their bodies still cycle naturally between melatonin's lullabies and cortisol's trumpet calls. It is proof that this duet is etched deep within you, older than civilization, older than fire, older than memory itself. Philosophy leans close here with a question. If your body already holds such perfect rhythms, why do we distrust them? Why do we drown melatonin's whispers in artificial light, as if our inner timekeepers were faulty? Perhaps the greater mystery is not how screens disrupt sleep, but why humans willingly abandon harmony for distraction. Picture the tug-of-war rope glowing softly, stretched across your night. On one end, melatonin pulls with patience, never straining, simply waiting for the darkness to tip in its favor. On the other, cortisol tugs sharply, trying to rally your system for action. When the rope is balanced, you feel peace, alert by day, restful by night. But with each scroll at midnight, you hand cortisol an extra grip, weighting the rope unfairly. No wonder melatonin falters. And yet, melatonin is gentle, never forceful. Unlike cortisol, it does not surge with stress. It only rises when darkness allows, like mist forming in valleys as the sun sets. This softness may be its strength, but also its vulnerability. Light banishes it with ease. A single notification, a sudden glow, and the poet falls silent, retreating until shadows return. Curiously, researchers still debate melatonin's role. Is it the sleep maker, or only the signaler of night? Some argue that melatonin does not induce sleep itself, but merely tells the body, now is the time. Others insist its presence deepens rest. The mystery remains unresolved, like a dream half remembered at dawn. What is certain is this: when melatonin's signal is delayed, the entire dance of sleep stumbles. There's something tender in realizing this battle is happening every night inside you. Even now, as you lie here, your body is measuring light and shadow, adjusting the rope's tension, deciding which way to lean. The screen, then, is not just a distraction. It is an uninvited referee, blowing a whistle at the wrong time, confusing the players. Think of the sensory contrasts. When melatonin wins, your limbs feel heavy, your mind drifts soft, sounds blur like watercolors, and darkness feels protective. When cortisol dominates, your skin tingles, your pulse quickens, every creak in the room feels sharp, and shadows seem to press against you. The same night, two very different worlds depending on which hormone holds the rope. And here's the humor again. If hormones could speak, melatonin might sigh and say, "Please, just dim the lights and let me do my work." Cortisol would bark back, "No time for that. We've got to check if someone liked the picture of our lunch." Imagine such a dialogue echoing in your veins. No wonder sleep feels elusive. But here is the hopeful part. The tug-of-war is not unwinnable. Small rituals can tip the rope gently toward melatonin. A warm lamp instead of a phone. A book instead of a feed. Even simple breathing in darkness, reminding your body that the day is over. Each choice hands the poet another inch of rope. Philosophically, it's a question of allegiance. To whom will you grant your night? To cortisol, the ever-alert sentinel, or to melatonin, the quiet guide of dreams? Both are necessary, but only one belongs to darkness. As you imagine this now, perhaps the rope slackens in your mind, the tug slowing, the two dancers nodding politely as they pass the floor to one another in their proper time. Perhaps tonight you choose to let melatonin have the stage, to let cortisol rest until dawn. And in that choice you find not just sleep, but harmony with the oldest rhythms of life itself. Close your eyes and imagine color not as pigment on a canvas, but as vibration, a silent music of light. Each wavelength sings its own note, from the deep bass of red to the sharp treble of violet. And among these notes, one glows with a particular intensity in your life, whether you realize it or not. Blue, not the soft blue of oceans, or the velvet blue of twilight, but the cold, piercing blue emitted from your screens. It is curious, isn't it, that a color we associate with serenity, blue skies, blue lakes, blue calm, can be the very thief of your sleep. But this is no contradiction. It is biology. Your eyes, ancient instruments designed under the sun, are exquisitely sensitive to blue wavelengths. Specialized cells in your retina, called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, respond most strongly to this color, sending messages straight to your brain's master clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. The signal is simple. Daytime has arrived. And so when the phone glows in your hand at 11 p.m., your brain is tricked. It believes the sun still lingers, that the world is not yet ready for rest. Melatonin is silenced, cortisol stirs, and the night loses its velvet. One single shade of light, more than any other, can rewrite the script of your sleep. There is irony in this. Firelight rich in reds and ambers soothed your ancestors to sleep, but your devices, engineered for brightness and clarity, pulse with blue. The very thing designed to help you see better in the day becomes your undoing at night. The tool of clarity becomes the thief of dreams. Scientists have traced this carefully. Studies comparing screen use with and without blue light filters show dramatic differences. Block the blue, and melatonin rises as it should. Allow it, and the hormone is suppressed, sometimes by as much as 50%. That's not a small theft. It's half of your night's chemistry erased by invisible rays. Imagine losing half of a lullaby, half of a story, half of a dream. You may wonder, why blue? Why not green or red? The answer lies in evolution. For millions of years, the only light bright enough to reach us at night was fire, which burns in amber tones. The only time our eyes encountered strong blue was under the morning and midday sky. Our biology tuned itself to that fact. Blue meant wake, amber meant rest. Screens, in this sense, are evolutionary tricksters, slipping into the space once reserved for the heavens themselves. There's humor here too if you tilt your head. The cosmos took billions of years to carve this sensitivity into your eyes, and in less than 2 decades, Humans managed to put the sun in their pockets. What a curious species, carrying little false skies into their bedrooms, then wondering why they cannot sleep. Philosophers might call this the cost of progress. We wanted portable light, clarity in darkness, knowledge at our fingertips, but we forgot that not all light is equal, that wavelengths carry consequences. We treated brightness as a neutral gift, when in fact it was a sculptor of biology. Now we are learning, slowly, that light is not just what lets us see, it is what tells us when to sleep, when to wake, when to heal. Imagine this blue glow as a mischievous spirit slipping into your bedroom. You cannot hear it, cannot smell it, yet it whispers to your cells, "Rise, rise," and your body listens, faithful and obedient, though your soul longs for rest. The mismatch creates tension. You are weary but wired, heavy but alert, sleepy but restless. The paradox of modern nights. Sensory details sharpen the picture. The glow of a screen paints your walls in pale blue flattening shadows, erasing the mystery of night. Your pupils constrict as though facing midday sun. Meanwhile, your ears catch the silence of midnight. The hum of a fridge, the distant bark of a dog, sounds that remind you it is not day. Sight tells one story, sound another. No wonder your body feels torn. A quirky tidbit. Some biologists joke that humans are the only species trying to trick their circadian rhythms for fun. No owl stares at artificial daylight. No wolf howls at LED moons. Only humans bring the sun to bed with them, then complain about sleeplessness. The natural world honors darkness instinctively. We negotiate with it, bargain with it, even resist it. And yet, debates remain. Some argue that blue light is not inherently evil, that it is simply powerful, and power misused causes harm. Blue light therapy, for instance, treats seasonal depression by mimicking the sun. In the morning, blue light can be healing, uplifting, clarifying. It is only at night, when misplaced, that it becomes a thief. A reminder that even thieves are not villains in themselves, but misapplied gifts. Here lies a gentle metaphor. Blue light is like coffee, perfect when the morning begins, disastrous at midnight. The problem is not the substance, but the timing. And like coffee, screens are addictive not because of the substance itself, but because of the comfort they offer, the rituals they create. Philosophy hums again. What is light, if not a storyteller of time? The sun tells us when to rise, the stars when to dream, the fire when to gather. Now screens tell us something else. Just one more scroll, one more episode, one more glimpse. And in listening, we trade away the ancient rhythm of life for a digital imitation. But you are not powerless. Filters exist, amber lenses, apps that dim and warm the glow. More than that, you hold the choice to close the device, to step back into darkness, to let blue yield to shadow. You need not exile blue forever. You need only return it to its rightful place in morning skies, not midnight sheets. And as you lie here, you can imagine the difference. A room dimmed, bathed not in blue but in golden lamplight. Shadows deepen. Melatonin rises like fog on a quiet field. Cortisol bows out. You drift, not jolted by false dawns, but cradled by honest night. The glow of blue retreats, and the rhythm of your ancestors returns. Blue is not your enemy, it is simply misplaced. A note played at the wrong time, a sunrise where no sun belongs. And by noticing it, by honoring darkness again, you reclaim the concert of your own biology. The poet sings once more, the rope slackens, the night becomes yours again. Picture yourself lying in bed, the room hushed, the world outside blanketed in shadow, yet in your hands a glow burns bright, casting light across your sheets, painting your face with artificial dawn. Your body, ancient and faithful, does not know the difference. To your cells, light is light. It cannot tell that the sun has long set, that outside the stars reign. It only receives the signal, wake, alert. It is morning again. And so at midnight, you live inside an illusion. This illusion is powerful because it tricks not only your eyes, but your entire biology. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock in your brain, receives its cues almost entirely from light. When it sees brightness, especially the piercing blue-rich light of screens, it declares a false daytime. Melatonin retreats. Cortisol rises. The orchestra of wakefulness plays, though the world insists it is night. Imagine the comedy of it. You lie in pajamas, blanket pulled high, yawning while your brain runs boardroom meetings ready for action. It is as if your body holds two worlds at once, the hushed midnight around you and the midday your brain believes in. A paradox so complete, you can almost laugh at it. And yet the laughter fades when you remember the cost. Sleep does not come easily in a world of contradictions. Your circadian rhythm, the 24-hour internal cycle that has guided life for millions of years, cannot reconcile the lie, and in that confusion, rest slips further away. Scientists have studied this illusion with care. Volunteers kept under artificial light late into the night show delayed melatonin secretion, sometimes by hours. Their bodies, misled, refuse to sleep until long after midnight. And the effect is not just in timing, it alters quality too. Sleep that does arrive is lighter, more fragmented, less restorative. It is like eating a meal of empty calories. You consume the hours, but the nourishment is thin. Philosophy whispers here, what is illusion, if not something that feels real yet robs you of truth? The glow in your hand feels like connection, entertainment, even companionship. But beneath the surface, it steals the honest experience of night. It is a counterfeit sun, offering brightness without balance, engagement without rest. Think of the sensory contradictions. Your ears catch the hush of night, the crickets, the hum of appliances, the stillness of darkness. But your eyes insist it is day. Two senses tell two stories. Your body wavers, unsure which to trust. In this tug, sleep is delayed because the body will always choose safety, and safety once meant light equaled wake. A quirky tidbit, some sleep scientists joke that screens have turned humans into time travelers, wandering through the wrong hours, living midnight as if it were noon. The joke lands because it feels true. Every late-night scroll is a tiny dislocation in time, an illusion that shifts your internal clock away from the natural world. There is tenderness in realizing how innocent this trick is. Your body is not weak, not faulty, it is loyal. It obeys what it sees. If you show it light, it believes you. If you give it darkness, it yields. The illusion only exists because your biology trusts so deeply in the cues of the world. A trust misplaced, but not broken. Debates stir here too. Some argue that humans are adaptable, that over time our rhythms may adjust to artificial schedules. Others counter that the circadian system is too deeply rooted, that forcing it into new patterns carries hidden costs, metabolic strain, immune disruption, mood disturbances. The science is still unfolding, but the consensus is gentle. While illusions can be lived within, they rarely come without a price. Now imagine this illusion as a stage play. The lights are wrong, the cues mistimed, the actors confused, the story falters, scenes overlap, and the audience, your body, leaves restless, unsatisfied. Contrast that with a well-timed play, where lights dim naturally, curtains fall gracefully, actors bow when they should. That is true night, true rhythm, true sleep. Humor softens the edges again. If light could talk, your phone might wink and say, "Don't worry, I'll be your little sun just for you." Meanwhile, the moon outside rolls her eyes. "He's lying, darling. Trust me instead." A cosmic love triangle in your bedroom. Sun, moon, and screen, each vying for your attention. And somehow the imposter often wins. Sensory layers bring you closer. The faint ache in your eyes after long exposure, the buzzing mind unable to quiet, the warmth of blankets that contradicts the alertness of your brain. The illusion is not just seen, It is felt in the mismatch between body and mind. You are both tired and awake, heavy and restless, lulled and stimulated. And here lies the metaphor. The midnight illusion is like chasing a mirage in the desert. It promises refreshment, connection, entertainment, relief, but delivers only more thirst. Each scroll feels satisfying in the moment, but deepens the deprivation. The oasis vanishes, and you are left dry-eyed, heart racing, hours slipping. Philosophically, it raises a soft question. How many illusions do we invite into our lives, knowing they are illusions, but choosing them anyway? Perhaps the screen is only one of many, a mirror of the ways we resist surrender, resist silence, resist the dark. To give up the illusion requires trust that night will still hold you, even without distraction. And yet, illusions dissolve when named. Even now you see it more clearly. The glow in your hand is not truth, not day, not connection. It is simply photons, filtered through glass, mistaken for sun. Knowing this, you may feel a soft shift. The illusion loses power. The counterfeit sun flickers. The real night presses gently in. So tonight, perhaps you choose differently. You dim the screen, or set it aside. You let the stars resume their role as timekeepers, the moon as guardian, the shadows as storytellers. The midnight illusion fades, and what remains is real. Darkness, rest, the ancient rhythm of sleep. You lie there, the glow of the screen soft against your face, and though your eyelids droop, inside your skull a remarkable theatre is taking place. Your neurons, billions of tiny sparks, are whispering, arguing, deciding. They are caught in twilight, unsure whether to lean toward wakefulness or toward the surrender of sleep. This is the secret of the human brain. It is never fully quiet, never fully still. Even in the deepest stages of rest, currents ripple. But in twilight, in that in-between when you linger with your phone in hand, the signals scatter like birds disturbed. Some clusters fire as if it were morning, preparing your attention, your vision, your thinking. Others, already heavy with melatonin's weight, begin to slow, to drift into longer, more synchronized waves. The result is a brain in limbo, half day, half night. Science has mapped this tug-of-war with elegant precision. Electroencephalograms, EEGs, show how the brain's rhythms change as you drift towards sleep. Wakefulness carries fast, sharp beta waves. Early drowsiness brings slower alpha, then theta, and finally sleep delivers delta, the slowest hum of all. But under screen light, the beta persists longer than it should. Your cortex clings to alertness. Alpha struggles to rise. It is as though the gate to sleep is jammed halfway, neither open nor closed. Philosophically, it is a haunting image, a door left ajar, never letting you fully enter the sanctuary of sleep, never quite releasing you from wake, a liminal space, seductive in its mystery, but exhausting in its pull. A curious tidbit. Researchers have found that even a single night of late screen use can shift the architecture of sleep itself. Deep, slow-wave sleep, the kind most essential for memory and restoration, may shrink by nearly 20%. That is not a small theft. It is as though the thieves of light slip into your skull and steal pages from the diary your neurons are trying to write. Think of memory as a library, and slow-wave sleep as the gentle librarians, carefully filing away the day's books. If the librarians are kept waiting, distracted by light, the books pile high, and many are never shelved. In the morning, you awaken not only tired but subtly forgetful, carrying fragments instead of volumes. Humor softens this loss. Picture your neurons yawning, tapping their tiny watches, sighing, "Is she ever going to turn this thing off?" Meanwhile, another group, the attention circuits, are buzzing like caffeinated bees, shouting, "One more scroll, one more video." Your skull becomes a noisy cafe at midnight, half the staff ready to close, the other half insisting the party continues. Sensory detail grounds it. You feel the weight in your eyelids. a heaviness that belongs to night. Yet at the same time, your thoughts race crisp and alert, replaying videos, scanning words, anticipating the next glow. The contrast is surreal. Your body whispers sleep while your brain shouts stay. The sound of the hum outside, the faint patter of a fan, tries to steady you, but inside the neurons keep flickering like candle flames disturbed by wind. Metaphor offers a gentle bridge. Imagine a twilight forest, half lit by moon, half lit by a lantern. Some trees stand in shadow, serene, while others are pierced by glare. The forest is confused, half dreaming, half awake. That is your brain beneath the glow of a screen, an ecosystem disrupted, a landscape unable to decide which season it belongs to. A debate lives here too. Neuroscientists wonder, are our brains resilient enough to adapt? Could frequent screen use simply retrain neurons to accept light at night without harm? Or does each night exact a quiet toll, adding up to fatigue, mood shifts, even risks for long-term cognitive decline? The answer is not final. What is known is that the twilight brain is less efficient, less rested, less whole. And yet, there is a beauty in seeing your brain as a living twilight, shimmering between states. It reminds you that sleep is not a switch, but a tide. It comes in waves, it retreats, it advances. The neurons are not enemies, they are dancers, trying to find rhythm. The trouble is only the artificial drummer, the screen beating too loud, too late. A quirky image helps think of your neurons as a choir trying to sing lullabies, but someone has left a radio on in the background, blasting pop songs. The choir keeps pausing, stumbling, unsure which tune to follow. The lullaby is still there, soft, insistent, waiting, but the noise pulls them off key. Soft humor returns. If neurons could send you a bedtime text, it might read, "Dear you, please power down. We set for trying to dim the lights in here. Sincerely, your brain." And as you consider this, you feel a subtle tenderness for your own biology, how hard it works to find rest, even when confused, how patient it remains, trying night after night. Your neurons, though pulled in two directions, never stop striving to protect you, to fold you into the shelter of dreams. So, lying there, phone in hand, you realize twilight is not a place to linger. It is only a crossing, meant to be passed through. The neurons call gently, let us finish the journey, let us dim together, let us drift into the deeper dark. And if tonight you set aside the screen, the twilight will shorten, the choir will align, the librarians will return to their shelves. Your neurons will hum in unison, slipping from beta to alpha to theta to delta, carrying you fully into the night. The twilight dissolves, and what remains is harmony, an orchestra no longer in conflict but in rest. You turn off the screen at last, eyes heavy, mind buzzing. The room regains its natural hush, shadows deepen, and somewhere in the quiet your body prepares for the nightly voyage into dream. Yet, because of the screen's false dawn, that voyage does not begin when it should. Dreams, like ships waiting for a tide, linger at the shore. Dreams live in REM sleep, rapid eye movement, when your eyes flicker beneath closed lids as though watching hidden films. Normally, REM arrives 90 minutes after sleep begins, carried by the smooth rhythm of circadian and homeostatic forces. But when screen light has bent your rhythm, REM can be postponed, sometimes by hours. It is as though the stage curtain is ready, actors waiting, but the play begins late. Science shows that even small shifts in circadian timing alter REM's schedule. And REM is not just fanciful play, it is the brain's emotional balm. In these dreamscapes, your mind replays memories, softens sharp edges, weaves fragments into meaning. To delay dreams is to delay healing. You lie in bed thinking you are resting, but the emotional work waits, postponed like a letter unsent. Imagine the absurdity. Your mind, ready to spin dreams of flying forests or tender reunions, instead lingers in shallower stages, pacing the hallway of sleep, but never stepping into the ballroom. A gentle frustration builds, invisible yet profound. It is like attending a concert where the orchestra never quite begins, leaving you in the murmur of tuning instruments. Poetically, dreams are delayed sunsets. The sky waits too long to colour. The stars linger unseen. You feel the ache of absence without knowing why. Morning comes, and though you slept, you are less restored, as though the banquet of night served you only appetizers, withholding the feast. Curious research adds depth. Studies show REM-deprived nights increase next-day irritability, reduce creative problem-solving, and even dampen empathy. Without dreams, your emotional palate shrinks. You laugh less easily, grow frustrated more quickly, see the world in narrow shades. The screen steals not only sleep, but the very hues of your inner landscape. Humor eases the edge. Imagine your dreams waiting backstage in costumes, some in feathers, some in capes, some absurdly in pajamas, tapping their feet, whispering, "When is she going to let us in?" One yawns dramatically, another dozes off on a prop cloud. Meanwhile, your brain's stage manager sighs, "Sorry folks, curtains delayed, blame the little glowing rectangle." Sensory detail makes it vivid. You feel the heaviness of your body, the weight of blankets pulling you inward, yet your mind twitches with wakeful remnants. The glow still lingers in your vision, phantom after images of scrolling, of words, of moving images. These remnants crowd the gateway, slowing the drift into deeper waters. A metaphor, REM is the painter of your soul, brushing colours across the canvas of your mind each night. Without its hand, the canvas remains pale, incomplete. And yet, because of the screen's intrusion, the painter arrives late, hurried, sometimes skipping sections entirely. The masterpiece of rest is left unfinished. Philosophical questions rise. What does it mean when our dreams are delayed, reshaped, or stolen? Do we become less ourselves? Or simply a different version? One who has not sorted yesterday? One who carries unresolved fragments into tomorrow? Are dreams optional? Or are they the secret stitching that holds the fabric of the psyche together? Scientists debate whether REM's purpose is primarily emotional, cognitive, or evolutionary. Some argue it evolved for creativity, others for mood regulation, still others for neural pruning, cutting away unnecessary connections. The debate remains unsettled, but all agree to lose REM is to lose something vital, even if we cannot name it fully. Gentle humor returns. Picture Freud sighing from his couch saying, "Without dreams, how will I have work?" Meanwhile, your neurons roll their eyes. It's not about symbolism, old man. It's about wiring. The dialogue continues into the night, unresolved yet charming. But the truth is simple. Screens delay dreams, and delayed dreams delay healing. Emotional knots remain tighter, memories less sorted, insights unblossomed. Morning arrives, but your spirit feels only half polished, like shoes left unshined. And yet, hope is soft and close. When you turn off the glow earlier, when you gift your brain the gift of darkness, REM comes gently, like a tide returning on time. The curtain lifts, the orchestra begins, and your dreams unfurl, wild, nonsensical, beautiful. They wash over you, cleansing and weaving, until by morning you are lighter, brighter, more whole. So tonight, if you allow it, the delay can be shortened. The dreams, waiting patiently, will step forward sooner. They are not gone forever, only postponed. And when they finally arrive, they will carry you into landscapes no screen could ever match. Floating temples, laughing rivers, impossible skies. They are your inheritance, as old as life itself, waiting for the chance to bloom. Inside you, even as you lie still beneath the blanket, a chemical drama unfolds. Hormones, those quiet messengers, drift through your bloodstream, delivering orders, keeping time. And among them, two stand like opposing guardians of the day: melatonin, soft herald of night, and cortisol, sharp sentinel of morning. Normally, they dance with grace, As the sun sets, melatonin rises, whispering to every cell, dim now, soften, prepare for rest. As dawn nears, cortisol takes the stage, calling gently, awaken, strengthen, rise. This balance is ancient, sculpted by eons of sunlight and shadow, but screens, those glowing rectangles, intrude on the choreography. They call cortisol too soon, hush melatonin, too harshly, the rhythm falters. Science shows this clearly. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin secretion more than any other wavelength, sometimes cutting levels by half. Imagine night itself arriving with its lanterns dimmed. The signal for sleep is weaker, fainter, more easily ignored. Meanwhile, cortisol, the hormone of alertness, lingers at higher levels, refusing to dip as it should. You feel it in your body, restlessness, a faint inner buzz, as though your blood itself resists surrender. A metaphor. It is like a symphony where the violins of melatonin play softly, tender and slow, but the drums of cortisol keep pounding, out of time, insistent. The music never resolves. Your body listens, confused. Should it drift into dream or leap into action? Philosophically, it raises a question: how much of you is your will, and how much is your chemistry? You may feel tired, long for sleep, yet if melatonin is silenced and cortisol amplified, your very cells refuse to obey. The self is porous, vulnerable to the whispers of hormones, as if your identity is partly written in liquid light drifting through your veins. A quirky tidbit. Melatonin is not only a sleep signal but also a powerful antioxidant, protecting your cells from stress. To suppress it is not merely to steal sleep, but to dim a shield. In a way, the glow of the phone robs you of both dreams and defenses. Humor softens this truth. Imagine melatonin as a shy librarian, tiptoeing through the body with candles, whispering, "Quiet now, the books are closing," and cortisol as a brash drill sergeant stomping in, barking, "Up, alert, one more scroll won't hurt." The poor librarian drops her candles, flustered. The library stays noisy until long past midnight. Sensory detail sharpens it. Your eyelids grow heavy, your muscles loosen, yet beneath the skin you feel a faint jitter, as though electricity hums. That hum is cortisol's doing, the body's false signal of readiness. At the same time, the absence of melatonin leaves the dark feeling thinner, less sheltering. The night is not fully night, but a diluted twilight stretched too long. Metaphor deepens it. The hormone hijack is like a playhouse taken over by the wrong actors. The script says the gentle poet enters with lullabies, but instead the stern commander barges in, reciting orders. The scene unravels, the audience, your body, confused and restless. Debates stir here too. Some researchers argue that artificial light exposure is manageable, that small reductions in melatonin do not truly matter. Others warn that even subtle shifts, repeated night after night, accumulate into something larger: weakened immunity, mood disturbances, increased risk of metabolic disease. The truth is still weaving itself in studies, but the hint is enough. Night was meant to hold melatonin, not cortisol. Soft humor returns. If hormones had group chats, melatonin might text, "Hey guys, meeting at midnight as usual," only for cortisol to reply, "Already here. Who needs sleep?" The other hormones sigh, "Every night with this guy." And yet, hope remains. The hijack is not permanent. Melatonin will rise again if you dim the lights. If you honor the rhythm, cortisol will bow out when darkness deepens, retreating to its rightful dawn. The body yearns for balance, and given the chance, it restores itself with surprising speed. So tonight, if you set aside the glow, the quiet librarian returns, candles in hand, gently guiding you into slumber. The sergeant waits outside, biding time until morning. The hijack ends. The orchestra resumes. Melatonin's violins swell, cortisol's drums soften, and you drift finally fully into the music of sleep. You close your eyes at last, phone tucked away, body heavy with the weight of late hours. Sleep begins its gentle descent, but inside your brain another story unfolds, one of filing cabinets, labyrinthine hallways, and memories searching for their place. Each night, your brain becomes a library, and sleep is the librarian who organizes the day's chaos into order. Yet, when screens have stolen the balance of hormones, delayed the dreams, disrupted the rhythms, the librarian stumbles, the library becomes a maze. Normally, memory consolidation unfolds with elegance. In slow-wave sleep, the hippocampus, the temporary vault of recent experiences, replays events in bursts of electrical rhythm, sending them outward to the cortex for long-term storage. It is like a choir humming softly, rehearsing the day's lessons. REM sleep then adds color, weaving emotion into fact, making the memories not just stored but meaningful. Without these stages, your memories remain fragile, like sketches drawn in chalk too easily smudged. But late night scrolling alters the architecture. Slow-wave sleep shortens, REM delays, the handoff from hippocampus to cortex falters. Imagine a librarian trying to shelve books while the lights flicker and doors swing open at the wrong times. Some books are misplaced, others left unsorted, still others vanish into the labyrinth's turns. You awaken with the faint sense that something is missing, not a single memory but a subtle coherence, a thread of understanding. Philosophically, it begs the question, what is memory if not identity? Each forgotten fragment shifts who you are, however slightly. If screens steal the night's work of memory, are they not also stealing the story of you? Curious studies reveal that sleep-deprived students retain less of what they study, no matter how many hours they spend with their notes. The brain's maze without rest becomes a trap of repetition. You may read the same passage 10 times at night, but without deep sleep, it slips away by morning. A paradox of learning to remember. You must first forget the screen. A quirky tidbit: neuroscientists have observed sleep spindles, sudden bursts of brain activity, appearing like glittering sparks on EEGs during non-REM sleep. These spindles are believed to strengthen memory pathways. Imagine them as tiny custodians carrying messages down the maze's corridors. When light delays the stages of sleep, fewer spindles appear. The custodians wander, unsure of their route, dropping their packages along the way. Humor finds its way in. Picture your memories as students in line, waiting to be checked into the long-term archive. One yawns, another leans against the wall. The hippocampus sighs. Sorry, folks. Power outage tonight. Blame the blue glow. The students groan, muttering, we studied for nothing. Sensory detail draws you in. You feel the faint echo of your day's images, faces, words, colors still hovering as you drift. Normally sleep would smooth them, polish them, tuck them neatly away, but under the influence of screen light, they hang like untidy paintings in a crowded gallery, crowding your mental space. In the morning you sense the clutter, though you cannot name what's missing. Metaphor deepens. The memory maze is not just a disorder, but a labyrinth of mirrors. Fragments repeat themselves. Reflections multiply. Pathways turn back on themselves. Without the steadying rhythm of sleep, you wander through these halls, never quite finding the exit. Morning comes, but the labyrinth remains, a quiet fog in your thoughts. Debates stir here too. Some researchers argue that a single night of disruption is minor, quickly corrected by following nights. Others insist that repeated disruption creates long-term impairments, not in recalling facts but in weaving narratives, making sense of life itself. The difference is subtle yet profound. You may remember the pieces but not the story they belong to. Humor softens again. If your memories could write reviews of your nightly archive service, one might leave a 1-star rating. Showed up to be filed, ended up lost in a maze. Would not recommend. And yet, the maze can be cleared. When you turn off the glow earlier, when melatonin rises, when slow wave and REM resume their true rhythms, the librarian regains her balance. She moves gracefully through the stacks, guided by the natural lantern of night. The maze straightens into corridors. The books are shelved, the story restored. So tonight, if you gift yourself darkness, you also gift yourself coherence. Memories will hum their way into permanence. Spindles will glitter. Librarians will smile. By morning, the fog will lift. You will not only recall the day, but understand it, carrying it forward into the weaving of your life. Beneath the hush of blankets and the dim breath of your room, your heart continues its patient drum. Most nights, it slows as you drift into sleep, guided by the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and digest orchestra. Each beat becomes softer, steadier, like waves lapping at a midnight shore. But when the glow of screens lingers too late, that rhythm shifts. Your heart, too, is caught in the storm of artificial day. Science shows that late-night screen use increases sympathetic activity, the system of alertness and action. Instead of settling into a gentle nocturne, your heart plays a brighter, quicker rhythm. Heart rate variability, a measure of resilience and calm, diminishes. It is as though the strings of a harp are pulled too tight, unable to vibrate freely. You may not notice this consciously. You lie still, eyes closed, thinking rest has claimed you. Yet beneath the surface, your heart whispers a different story. Instead of soft, lengthened pauses between beats, it taps nervously, ready for demands that never come. It is midnight, but your chest believes it is rush hour. Philosophically, it invites a gentle question: how much of rest is the mind's story, and how much is the body's truth? You may believe you are sleeping well, but if your heart is unsettled, is it truly rest? Perhaps sleep is not only about hours counted, but about the honesty of rhythms within. A curious tidbit: monks who meditate show extraordinarily high heart rate variability, their hearts swaying like trees in wind, deeply flexible. In contrast, screenlit nights shorten that sway, leaving the heart rigid, less adaptive. To trade meditation for scrolling is to trade resilience for restlessness. Humor finds its way here. Imagine your heart complaining, "Excuse me, I was about to hum a lullaby, but now you've got me playing techno at 1 a.m. Meanwhile, your parasympathetic system sighs in a corner, muttering, "I had one job." Sensory detail draws you closer. You can almost hear the soft thud-thud in your chest, steady but tinged with a faint edge of speed. You feel warmth in your fingertips, tension in your jaw, subtle clues that the body has not surrendered fully. Outside, the world is still. A refrigerator hums, a breeze brushes the window. Inside, your heartbeat still believes it must be ready. Metaphor deepens. The hidden heartbeat is like a drummer lost in the wrong song. The band has shifted to a lullaby, but he keeps pounding the marching rhythm of day. The mismatch jars the harmony. Only darkness, silence, surrender can cue him back to the night's intended tempo. Debates arise among scientists. Some argue these small shifts in nightly rhythm are temporary, easily corrected. Others caution that chronic strain night after night may prime the body for long-term harm: higher blood pressure, cardiovascular strain, reduced recovery. The argument lingers, but the heart itself offers no debate. It simply beats more restless, less free. Gentle humor softens again. If your nervous system could leave sticky notes on your pillow, they might read, "Dear you, please give us less caffeine, fewer screens, and more darkness. Sincerely, your parasympathetic team." And yet hope flickers in the quiet truth that the body longs for balance. If you dim the glow earlier, your heart slows naturally. Variability rises, the parasympathetic orchestra swells. Within an hour, the rhythm begins to mend itself. The body does not hold grudges. It only waits for the chance to restore. So tonight, if you put the screen aside, you may feel it. The heart, softening, slowing, swaying like a lantern in the wind. The hidden heartbeat becomes visible to you, not in sound, but in the sense of ease it brings. And with each slower beat, you drift further from the clamor of day, further into the embrace of night. Close your eyes and picture this. No phones, no glowing rectangles, no buzzing alerts, only the hush of night, firelight flickering low, and the vault of stars stretching endlessly above. For most of human history, this was your family's bedtime, the natural darkness embracing their bodies, their rhythms in harmony with moonrise and dawn. The world was vast, silent, and softly lit by embers. Evolution sculpted your sleep in this environment. For hundreds of thousands of years, your ancestors aligned themselves to natural light, the golden blaze of day, the fading violet of dusk, the velvet black of night. Melatonin rose as shadows lengthened, cortisol dropped with the setting sun, and the body surrendered to cycles older than language itself. Science confirms this story. Circadian rhythms are hardwired, tuned not to choice but to the planetary clock. Even today, people camping outdoors without artificial light quickly reset their internal clocks to dawn and dusk, as if the body remembers a forgotten script. Within days, they sleep earlier, wake earlier, and dream deeper. Philosophically, this raises a soft question. What does it mean to live outside the script written by the stars? To fall asleep under artificial suns, to wake under buzzing alarms instead of the dawn's slow invitation? Are we the only species that resists the choreography of light and dark? And what price does that rebellion carry? A quirky tidbit glimmers here. Ancient Romans believed sleep was delivered each night by Somnus, a god who floated on wings of silence, carrying dreams in his cloak. Imagine how strange it would seem to Somnus if he arrived today, only to find you under covers, face glowing blue, refusing his gift because of one more scroll. You hear it in your senses, the crackle of fire, the gentle hoot of an owl, the scent of pine or earth. Contrast it now with the faint buzzing of your phone, the sterile glow washing your walls. One is alive with unpredictability, the shifting stars, the whisper of wind. The other is static, predictable, but insistent. The body remembers the first more fondly. Evolution whispers in every cell, I built you for starlight, not for LED. It is a mismatch, like feeding a violin sheet music written for drums. The tune can be played, but it will never sound right. Debates among scientists circle this mismatch. Some argue humans are endlessly adaptable, our brains resilient enough to bend to new light. Others suggest the cost is already visible. Epidemics of insomnia, burnout, fatigue, and even rising mood disorders. The argument is ongoing, but your circadian clock ticks, unaffected by debate. It follows its ancient sun and moon rhythm, even when you resist. Gentle humor softens the truth. Imagine explaining TikTok to a caveman ancestor. You stay awake past midnight watching strangers dance in glowing boxes. He would tilt his head, point to the stars, and grunt. But why not just dream? A deeper metaphor forms. Each night you scroll, you are like a bird flying in circles inside a house, forgetting the wide sky outside. The sky is still there, patient, waiting, while the bird tires itself out under the ceiling's glow. So too does your body long for night's embrace, while you remain perched in the cage of screen light. Yet, there is grace here. The human body, though mismatched, is forgiving. Each time you turn off the glow earlier, you give your biology a chance to return to its evolutionary melody. The whispers of ancestors are still in your DNA, calling you back to firelight, to stars, to the original silence of night. And if tonight, before sleep, you step outside for just a moment, look up at the same stars they once saw, you might feel it, the shared rhythm across centuries, the body remembering itself beneath the eternal sky. Sleep is not a simple curtain drop. It is a theatre with acts, with lights dimming slowly, with scenes arranged in careful sequence. First you drift into light sleep, then deeper stages, and eventually the vivid realm of REM, where dreams unfurl in cinematic splendor. But when screens glow too long, the curtain hesitates. Dreams are pushed back, postponed, and the performance begins late. Scientifically, this is called REM latency, the time it takes to reach your first dream cycle. Normally it unfolds within 90 minutes, but screen use, especially blue light exposure before bed, stretches that interval. Your mind wanders longer in shallow stages, circling the foyer of the theatre but never entering the dream hall. It is like showing up to a midnight concert, only to wait outside while the music plays within. The quirky truth is that dreams love punctuality. They thrive on regular schedules. When you delay their arrival, they sometimes grow compressed or fragmented, like hurried storytellers trying to squeeze epics into shorter slots. This may explain why dream recall fades on screen-heavy nights, why you wake with fewer threads of story to hold on to. Philosophically, this invites a gentle question: what happens to the tales never told? If you postpone a dream, is it lost forever, or does it wait in some secret alcove of mind, untold but not erased? Do postponed dreams become whispers inside waking thoughts, subtle déjà vus or fleeting daydreams? Your senses pick up the delay without you noticing. Your body turns more often, searching for rest. Your breath carries a faint irregularity, as though it is waiting for a deeper cue. The glow of screen light still echoes in your retina, even behind closed lids, and the mind hesitates at the doorway to REM, reluctant to step inside. A metaphor forms: your dreams are trains running on ancient rails, timed to the night. But when screens linger, the signal light remains red. The trains wait, the tracks hum, but the journey does not begin. By the time the signal turns green, the schedule is broken, and fewer journeys can be made before dawn. Humor lightens the science. Imagine your dreams holding tiny clipboards, checking watches, muttering, "We were supposed to start at 11:45, but someone had to keep scrolling memes until 1 o'clock. They shuffle their papers, sigh and say, "Fine, we still just do the short version tonight." Debates ripple among researchers. Some argue delayed REM is harmless, easily recovered the next night. Others warn that chronic postponement trims the richness of dream life, reducing emotional processing, memory consolidation, even creativity. The science is still unfolding, but the experience is clear: when you delay dreams, you often wake less restored, less whole. Dreams themselves are not petty. They do not punish you, they adapt, but their shortened appearance may leave you feeling that something essential has gone missing, like skipping a scene in a favorite play. You may not notice the absence directly, but you feel the shift, a subtle incompleteness. Yet hope glows in this knowledge. Just as delaying dreams weakens them, protecting your night strengthens them. Studies show that with earlier sleep, REM cycles grow longer and richer, like novels given their full chapters instead of abridged notes. The body does not resent you, it rejoices the moment you offer it time. Tonight, if you place the phone aside earlier, you may find yourself drifting into REM on schedule, stepping sooner into the dream theatre. The curtain rises gently, and the stories play their full arc, strange, whimsical, restorative. Dreams arrive not late but on time, ready to wash your mind in imagery and restore your soul in ways you cannot measure, but can feel upon waking. The body keeps many clocks, not just the one ticking in your brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master circadian clock, but smaller ones humming in your liver, your gut, even your pancreas. Each organ keeps time, awaiting cues from light, from food, from movement. When screens stay bright at midnight, these clocks begin to quarrel. Science shows that late-night screen exposure doesn't just delay sleep, it nudges hunger hormones. Ghrelin, the whisperer of appetite, rises. Leptin, the gentle voice of fullness, falls quiet. Suddenly the body asks for food it doesn't need, as though the glow itself has opened a phantom pantry. That is why scrolling at 1 a.m. so often ends with cookies or chips in hand. You may laugh at the memory. Sitting in bed, phone in one hand, crumbs in the other, whispering to yourself, "This isn't dinner, it's research fuel." Yet even as humor, the science is real. Plate eating disrupts metabolic rhythm, forcing the gut to work overtime when it longs to rest. Instead of healing tissues or balancing sugar, it digests potato chips beneath fluorescent glow. Philosophically, it asks a tender question. Are you eating to satisfy the body, or to fill the silence that screens displace? Perhaps the midnight snack is not hunger at all, but longing for calm, for warmth, for comfort hidden in the dark. Your senses catch the dissonance, the crunch of food too loud in the stillness, the salt on your tongue when your body craves only water. Outside, the world is quiet, the air cooler, the night at peace. Inside, your gut stirs awake reluctantly, as if muttering, "We had one job, rest, and now we're back at work." A metaphor emerges. The body's clocks are like an orchestra tuned to play a nocturne, but when you eat under screen light, a trumpet bursts in, blaring off key. The harmony falters. The players glance around, uncertain of the score. Debates swirl among scientists. Some argue that late-night snacking is harmless in moderation, the body adaptable. Others warn that over years this mismatch feeds higher risks: weight gain, insulin resistance, disrupted digestion. The research continues, but your organs quietly keep their scorecards each night. Gentle humor softens again. Imagine your pancreas filing a midnight complaint. "Dear you, we were on break. Please stop sending sugar so we can nap." Signed, management. Meanwhile, the liver, always patient, sighs, "Fine, I still handle it." Again. The quirky tidbit? Astronauts on the International Space Station face similar challenges. Without natural day and night, they often crave food at odd times, their circadian and metabolic rhythms jumbled by artificial lighting. Even in orbit, the human body still whispers, "Feed me by the sun, not the screen." Yet, just as easily as rhythms are disrupted, they can be restored. By closing the screen earlier, by letting the night grow dark, hunger hormones soften back into balance. The body shifts to repair mode, the gut rests, and by dawn every organ has returned to its ancient tempo. So tonight, when the screen tempts you into snacks you do not need, you can smile gently and remember the craving is not always real hunger, but a mirage lit by pixels. Set the phone aside, sip cool water, listen to the hum of night. Your clocks will thank you with silence, harmony, and the ease of unbroken sleep. There is a strange paradox in screen light. It makes you feel surrounded by faces, by voices, by endless streams of people. But in the stillness of night, you remain alone beneath your blanket. Your ancestors sat shoulder to shoulder by the fire, voices mingling with the crackle of wood. You, by contrast, sit face to face with a rectangle, watching pixels pretend to be presents. Science offers a quiet warning here. Studies show that late-night social media use is linked to greater feelings of loneliness, not less. The endless scroll mimics connection, offering micro-interactions, likes, messages, notifications, that activate the same dopamine pathways as genuine contact. Yet the body and mind know the difference. It is like sipping from a painted glass. The image is there, but the water never reaches your lips. Philosophically, you may ask, what is connection, if not the warmth of another's breath, the texture of silence shared, the subtle rhythm of heartbeats aligning? Screens give the shape of this intimacy, but not its soul. They hand you shadows when your biology longs for firelight and touch. A quirky tidbit. In Japan, some people hire rent-a-friend services for company. They walk, talk, or even nap beside you for a fee. Strange as it sounds, this practice mirrors screen light too, an imitation of closeness without the messiness, the unpredictability, the vulnerability of true bonds, a tidy proxy, but not the whole. Your senses pick up the hollowness, the cold glow against your face, the faint plastic scent of your device, the silence of your room broken only by digital pings. Contrast that with the warmth of a hug, the sound of a friend's laughter carried through air, the grounding touch of another hand. One is light and sound without substance. The other is full, weighty, alive. A metaphor deepens. Screens at midnight are like postcards from a dream. You see the picture, read the words, but you are not there in the place. The image suggests closeness, yet the distance remains. Humor whispers in. Imagine your phone saying, "Look, I brought you 12,000 acquaintances and 50 comments. Who needs sleep?" Meanwhile, your nervous system mutters, "Could we just have one real hug instead?" Debates ripple through psychology. Some argue that even digital bonds have meaning, that messages and video calls bridge miles, offering genuine comfort. Others counter that physical presence is irreplaceable, that late-night screen connection feeds loneliness rather than curing it. The research wavers, but your body's wisdom is simple. Sleep thrives in intimacy, not simulation. And intimacy can be soft. The trust of your own breath, the kindness of your own stillness. You do not always need another person in the room. The connection to your body, to the dark, to the quiet, is its own form of closeness. When you put the screen aside tonight, you may feel it, the illusion fading, the real connections waiting. The weight of your blanket is a gentle embrace. The rhythm of your heartbeat is company enough, and in dreams, the truest bonds return. The people you love, the memories you carry, the closeness that screens can only pretend to give. So as the glow dims and the room softens, you rediscover it. Connection is not found in endless scrolling. It is here, in stillness, in memory, in presence, in the intimacy of letting go. Even after you switch the screen off, its light does not leave you instantly. It clings, like the memory of a song long after the last note, like a flash of lightning that leaves your vision tinted with phantom brightness. This lingering trace is not only in your eyes, it hums in your thoughts, a blue afterglow echoing across your mind. Science has given this phenomenon many names: cognitive arousal, sleep latency delay, neural overstimulation. Whatever the title, it means this: your brain refuses to slip into night the moment you do. The pixels you watched continue flickering in the folds of memory. The scrolling feeds replay in micro loops. Even with eyes closed, your cortex hums, as though it cannot tell whether the show has ended. You may laugh at yourself, turning off the phone, laying back, then suddenly remembering that one comment, that half-funny video, that unanswered message. The brain taps you like a child tugging a sleeve. But wait, we were done. Philosophically, it stirs a gentle puzzle. When does experience truly end? Does the movie finish at the credits, or in the quiet moments when your mind digests its meaning? Perhaps screens never end at the button press, because their glow lingers in your neural fabric, asking for more than you intend to give. A curious tidbit: in sleep labs, researchers observe alpha intrusion, a brainwave pattern where wakeful rhythms creep into drowsy states like day sneaking into night. It often appears after late-night media, as if the brain is unwilling to let go of its daytime costume. Your senses confirm it. The faint ringing of silence feels louder. The darkness behind your eyelids seems lit by ghostly flickers. The air cools against your skin, yet your mind runs warm, buzzing, restless. You are lying still, but inside, light still dances. A metaphor deepens. The blue afterglow is like embers hidden under ash. The fire looks gone, but when you touch it, it glows, reminding you it is not finished. Screens leave their embers glowing in you, preventing the full surrender of sleep. Debates ripple through the field. Some argue it is harmless, a brief delay before eventual rest. Others warn that chronic overstimulation may erode the quality of sleep, fragmenting its depth. The argument remains, but your body whispers its truth in subtle signs. More tossing, more replayed thoughts, a longer wait for dreams. Humor softens again. If your brain had a closed captions feature, it might flash: tonight's programming has ended. Please wait 30-45 minutes for your neurons to stop buzzing. Meanwhile, your melatonin yawns in the background, tapping its watch. And yet, as always, hope threads quietly through. The afterglow fades more quickly if you give it softer company: dim lamps, slow breaths, the rhythm of stillness. Just as lightning fades, so too does the echo of screens. You cannot erase the afterglow instantly, but you can let darkness soothe it, water over embers until only calm remains. So tonight, if you let the glow end earlier, the afterglow itself will fade in time for true rest. Your thoughts will soften, the buzzing will ease, and the only light that lingers will be dreamlight, carried gently from within. Dreams are delicate architects. They build their worlds from scraps of memory, fragments of feeling, whispers of your day. Usually they unfold like rivers meandering with surreal grace, stitching together pieces into landscapes, both strange and healing. But when screens linger too late, the river grows clogged, and the dreams that follow often carry the static of noise. Science reveals a curious truth. Overstimulation before bed, bright light, fast-paced media, endless scrolling often correlates with more fragmented, anxious dreams. The brain, flooded with images and dopamine, struggles to quiet itself. REM sleep becomes jittery, peppered with awakenings, the dreamscape cracked by interruptions. Instead of narrative flow, you get fragments, flashing images, unfinished stories, echoes of headlines mixed with the flicker of social feeds. You may know this sensation, those nights when dreams feel crowded, too loud, like a television left on in another room. You wake unsettled, not from one nightmare, but from many tiny ones, half-formed and hurried. Philosophically, it invites a tender question. What does it mean when even your inner sanctum is colonized by noise? If dreams are the mind's safe chamber, should they not be free of the day's clamor? And yet, the mind can only weave with the threads you offer it. Feed it static, and static it will spin. A quirky tidbit. Researchers once experimented by showing volunteers disturbing television clips before sleep. Predictably, their dreams echoed the chaos. But those shown serene nature films reported calmer, more restorative dreams. Even the subconscious is a gardener, planting seeds from whatever light you watch. Your senses confirm it in subtle ways. You wake to the faint ringing in your ears, as though the noise followed you back from dreamland. The taste of unease lingers on your tongue, the sheets tangled from restless turning. The night's supposed silence was filled with invisible echoes. A metaphor forms. Screen-fed dreams are like a crowded marketplace at midnight. Vendors shout, lights glare, snippets of conversation swirl, but you never find one true story to follow. Contrast this with the dream that flows from quiet, like a forest path, winding, serene, inviting you deeper. Humor softens the sharpness. Imagine your dreams complaining like workers on strike. We were supposed to stage a peaceful story tonight, but you gave us 20 TikToks and a news alert. We did our best. Here sips a blurry nightmare collage. Debates continue in science. Some argue dreams are random, mere neural firing with no meaning, so noise-filled or not, it matters little. Others insist dreams are essential for emotional processing, that fractured, noisy ones leave the psyche less refreshed. The answer remains suspended, but the lived feeling is undeniable. Calm dreams restore, noisy dreams exhaust. And yet, as always, the door swings open to hope. When you gift yourself quiet before bed, a book, soft music, the hush of night, you plant seeds for gentler dreams. Within hours the noise subsides, and the dreamscape repairs itself. The mind is a patient architect. It will build serenity if given serenity to work with. So tonight, you can smile at the thought. Every moment of peace you offer before sleep is a gift to your dreams. You dim the static, and in its place, the forest returns, the rivers flow, the dream's architecture rises in beauty again. Darkness is not emptiness. It is medicine. It is signal. It is the ancient whisper that tells your cells, now is the time to heal. In the absence of light, the body unfolds into restoration, like a flower closing to strengthen its roots. But when screens stretch their glow into the late hours, that medicine is diluted, replaced by false day, and the healing of night falters. Science shows us that darkness is the womb of repair. Growth hormone pulses higher, tissues mend, the immune system rallies its quiet armies. Melatonin, released only in dimness, does more than invite sleep. It acts as an antioxidant, a shield against cellular wear, a guardian of nightly renewal. In pure darkness, the body orchestrates its symphony of repair. Philosophically, it raises a soft wonder. Why do we fear the dark when it is our oldest ally? Long before light bulbs, long before glowing screens, the dark was a friend, not a void. To surrender into it is to trust the same rhythm that carried every ancestor safely through their nights. A quirky tidbit glimmers. In some cultures, people once divided their sleep into two acts, first sleep and second sleep. Between them they would wake briefly, pray, write, or whisper to loved ones before drifting back into darkness. This rhythm, known as segmented sleep, was natural in pre-electric times, guided entirely by night's embrace. Your senses know this truth. In complete darkness, sound grows vivid. The hum of the fridge, the rustle of blankets, the sigh of your breath. Touch heightens the warmth of sheets, the softness of fabric, the cool brush of air on skin. Sight yields to imagination, letting dreams paint instead. A metaphor deepens. Healing in the dark is like a library of the body opening at midnight. Each cell becomes a reader, poring over genetic texts, correcting typos, restoring wisdom to the script. But when the lights stay on, the library doors remain locked, and the pages go unread. Humor finds its way in. Imagine your mitochondria filing complaints. We were scheduled for repair duty at 2 a.m., but you left Netflix running. We'll try again tomorrow, if you can resist cliffhangers. Debates persist among researchers. Some argue that complete darkness is less crucial in modern times, that the body adapts. Others point to rising rates of insomnia, metabolic strain, mood disorders, suggesting adaptation is a costly illusion. The stars of evidence lean toward the old truth. The body heals best when the night is left untouched. And the hope is simple. Darkness can be restored. By dimming lights earlier, by letting screens fade, you invite back the night's full medicine. It does not matter how long you have resisted it. The dark is patient, waiting, always ready to heal you again. So tonight, when you surrender to the hush of your room, you might feel it, the quiet weight of healing pressing in like velvet, unseen but profound. In the dark, the orchestra plays, your cells mend, your soul drifts closer to wholeness. Every night is a cycle, a circle, a rhythm carried in your very marrow. Just as the earth spins toward dawn, your body too carries its own sunrise waiting within. After hours of rest, of dreams weaving themselves into memory, of tissues quietly repairing, something shifts, a light stirs not just in the sky, but in you. Science tells us that as morning approaches, cortisol gently rises, not the stress hormone we often fear, but in its natural rhythm, a tide that lifts you back into wakefulness. Body temperature begins to rise, melatonin recedes, and the orchestra of hormones retunes for day. It is dawn's rehearsal, happening quietly inside your cells before you ever open your eyes. Philosophically, this raises a tender thought. Perhaps true morning begins long before the sun appears. Perhaps the dawn within is the real compass, and the sky outside is only its mirror. A quirky tidbit whispers, in rural villages before electricity, people often woke not to alarms but to the crow of roosters. And curiously, the birds don't simply crow at first light. They sense their own circadian cues, announcing dawn that is already alive in them. Just like you, they carry the sunrise inside. Your senses can catch the shift if you listen closely. In the pre-dawn hush, the air feels cooler on your skin. The rhythm of your breath subtly changes. The silence deepens as if holding its breath for light. Even with curtains drawn, you can feel it, a stirring in your chest, a readiness rising, a dawn no screen could ever replace. A metaphor shines. The dawn within is like a lantern relit after the long dark. You carry its flame each morning, renewed by the night's shadows, strengthened by surrender. No external glow, no late-night screen can match the quiet radiance your body creates for itself. Humor drifts in softly. Imagine your cells whispering a morning roll call. Mitochondria, check. Neurons, check. Melatonin, dismissed. Cortisol, you're up. Try not to overdo it this time. The orchestra clears its throat, and your whole being hums, ready to play the day's song. Debates remain, even here. Some scientists argue that we can bend these rhythms endlessly with alarms, caffeine, and night shifts. Others insist the cost of bending is steep, and that living aligned with the dawn within is the true medicine for vitality. The argument will continue, but your body's sunrise does not wait for consensus. It rises, faithfully, every night's end. And here is the grace: no matter how many nights the screen stole from you, no matter how many dawns felt groggy or rushed, the cycle remains loyal. Each time you grant yourself the gift of darkness, the gift of stillness, the dawn within grows brighter. It waits patiently, like the sun itself, never scolding, always returning. So, as you rest tonight, feel the hush of this truth. You are not only drifting into night, but also preparing the seeds of your own sunrise. The dawn within will rise, gentle and radiant, whether or not you chase screens. It is your oldest inheritance, your most faithful companion, and when morning comes, you will rise carrying light that no device could ever give you. And now, as the journey completes, let yourself drift beyond words, into the hush where only breath remains. You have wandered through glowing screens and shadowed forests, through science and starlight, through the hidden chambers of sleep itself. The story is told, but your body's story continues, in slow waves, in gentle rhythms, in the velvet silence that follows. Let your thoughts loosen, like feathers falling into a river. Each one drifts away, carried into stillness. The questions, the laughter, the soft debates of the night, they fade like echoes down a long hallway, leaving only quiet. Feel the bed beneath you, steady and certain. Feel the air resting cool on your skin. The darkness around you is no longer absence, but presence, a vast, patient sky that welcomes you, embraces you, carries you. You are safe here. You are held here. The world outside has grown distant, softened to a watercolor blur. Within you, the dawn waits, but it is far away, beyond the horizon of sleep. There is no rush, no demand, only the hush of surrender. Imagine yourself as a small boat on a moonlit lake, rocking gently, the water smooth and endless. The stars above are not to be counted, but to be felt, as warmth, as stillness, as quiet companions. The shore is gone, the oars are gone. You drift without effort, guided by currents older than memory. Breathe softly now, each inhale a tide, each exhale a release. The rhythm grows slower, sweeter, as your body dissolves into weightless rest. You do not need to hold anything. Sleep holds you. And as you fade, remember the night heals, the dark restores, and the dawn within will always rise for you.